plan that lets you save.
Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look on it.
Welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, I'm your host, Drew Taddia. All right, welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of our True Form Life community and everything you do to contribute to the show with your downloads, shares, word of mouth. All that helps us grow and reach a larger audience, which of course is our goal to naturally improve lifestyles one show at a time. Today's show, we have Waylon Auger coming on, who's a captain of the local college volleyball team. And he has an incredible story of adversity. And you'll find out in the show that's a very difficult word for me to say. Hope you get a kick out of that. But anyways, I brought on Waylon because I've talked to him a number of times. He has an incredible story of injuries, really getting injured, getting back up, building himself up and stronger, and then getting injured again, and then coming back stronger and better each time. And it's just really something I wanted to share because I think many times we give up. We get injured, we get hurt, we get rejected, we fail, we get fired, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be college sports or professional sports. It could be a parent. It could be your job. I mean, so we deal with so much failure on a daily basis. And it's really how we see it. And it's really our mind process and our thoughts. And I asked Waylon about all this from training to mentally, how he was affected, how he was able to get back up and push through and get back to an elite level to lead a college volleyball team. So I think that's fantastic. He has a great story and I know you're going to enjoy it. So sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Taddia.
All right, welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. We have Waylon Auger with us online right now. So welcome to the show, Waylon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Drew.
It's our pleasure. So today we're going to get into your story. You have an interesting story. I'm looking forward to sharing this with our audience here. Why don't you give us some background as to yourself, and then we'll get into more details. But you're a college athlete right now. Tell us what you're doing right now. I know you're captain of the volleyball team. I know you're going to school. Tell us about that before we get into any more details.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, like you mentioned, I'm captain of the volleyball team. This is my second year in the ACAC. I'm also in sports management, finishing up my diploma. Not really too sure what I'm going to do after this year. Probably figure that out once I'm a little closer to the end, but everything's going pretty well so far, I guess, considering the volleyball has been fun, playing against some pretty big athletic guys every weekend. It's a good challenge, but it's just something that I look forward to every weekend.
Tell me about one of the things we're going to get into is injuries here. Now, you went through a couple major injuries yourself, and that's something that I want to share with our audience here because it's pretty cool. It's actually remarkable how you're able to compete at a high level with the injuries you went through. What was the first injury that you were dealing with?
Well, the very first time that I had a major injury to deal with was I tore my ACL playing in a volleyball tournament when I was 19. It was actually on my 19th birthday, so that wasn't the best of birthdays that I've had. But
it wasn't a happy birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was happy in the sense that we placed in the tournament, but it was kind of bittersweet that I'm limping off the court and having to go get crutches while I'm trying to carry a trophy back home. But no, that was really the first major injury that I had ever dealt with in my life, and I'd always been kind of nervous about, knee injuries, things like that. You watch professional athletes and you hear all the time, oh, this guy had this injury, he wasn't the same after, or, he wasn't able to play at the same level, etc. So it was something that definitely scared me, I guess, when it first happened. And when it first happened, I had never experienced anything like that before, where I tried to get up and, walk it off, because I could usually walk just about anything off and, try to play through the pain, but I couldn't even put any weight on it. It, swelled up to the size of a balloon almost, I guess. Is multicolored. It didn't look good, but yeah, I went and got it checked out, and like they suspected that it was a torn ACL. They weren't 100% sure. So like I waited about, I think, a month and a half, and it started to get better. Like I was able to walk around. I was starting to run again. I was starting to play sports, like taking it pretty light, but like this was all waiting for like hopefully getting an MRI and figuring out what was actually wrong with it. But I was playing basketball with my friends, and I have a really hard time with taking it easy. Like my coach is probably the first person that would tell you that. But yeah, I got a little too competitive, started going harder than I probably should have, went up for a layup, landed on it. And after that, it was completely gone. Like whatever, maybe there was something left in my ACL. It wasn't a complete tear, but after that, there was nothing left. Like I couldn't straighten my knee or bend it fully for pretty much right up until I had the surgery. Like I was on crutches from May till having the surgery in January, and then on crutches another 2 or 3 months after that. It was almost a full year.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So you actually had surgery. What happened when you went through surgery?
Yeah, so I had the surgery. I actually, like once I had the MRI, like I had to wait, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 months at least for the MRI. And then once the MRI results got sent to my doctor and like whatever the process is, sent off to a surgeon, they realized it was quite a bit worse than what they thought. And again, most likely because I tried playing on it when I shouldn't have. But that's something that like I'll get into later, learning, when not to play and when you actually need rest. But yeah, after the surgery, it was sort of the same, I guess. Like it was really weird. I woke up and my knee was straight, so I was really happy about that. But then I was, like on the anesthetics and like drugged up a little bit. So I was like super happy. I was like, hey, my knee's straight. And I tried to move and I couldn't even lift my leg up. And they're like, whoa, you don't move. You don't do anything. Like, so that was always something that was pretty hard, was, the bed rest kind of situation that I was in. But started doing physiotherapy. I would go and see the physiotherapist for the first month, it was every week. After that, it was every 2 weeks. And then they would just kind of give me some exercises to take home, reevaluate on kind of every appointment that I went to. They would look at my range of motion, like my flexibility, how much, I guess, muscle building was progressing. So like I had a lot of atrophy, obviously, from, basically sitting on the couch for 10 months or whatever. So my left leg was really weak compared to my right leg. So a lot of what I did was having to isolate my left leg, kind of build up strength. And it was really slow, a lot slower than anything I was ever used to. Like I'm not the most patient guy when it comes to getting back on the court. So it was really hard for me to trust the process and be patient that the physiotherapy was going to get me to where I wanted to be, later rather than sooner.
All right, so let's fast forward a bit here. So you got back into playing mode, and then you're back on the court. You're able to get through recovery and play again.
I started focusing a lot more on basketball. Like for basketball, like it just seemed like rather than volleyball, I guess like I love both sports, obviously, but with basketball, it was just something about, being able to get in the gym by yourself and work on so many different skills that really, like, if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have recovered at all, because with volleyball, it's kind of hard to work on certain aspects of the game by yourself, like unless you have like a serving machine and all these other resources and equipment that'll help you. But with basketball, if you have a ball and there's a hoop, you can, work on your ball handling, you can work on your shooting, your post moves. One thing that I had to do was I couldn't jump off my left leg to do a right-hand layup anymore. So I adapted and I got a lot better going to my left because I could jump off my stronger right leg. And so like now, like, and even before when I would play basketball against people, they see that I'm right-handed, they force me left, and I was just blowing by people. And I'm a lot better going to my left now than my right, which is kind of backwards for most basketball players. But yeah, I started playing basketball a lot, just, working on myself, training, that kind of thing. It was pretty hard though, because right after I was cleared to play after my first surgery, it was, I think about 4 or 5 months, they cleared me I was only supposed to be doing 70 to 80%, but my physiotherapist said, like, everything looks good. I went to U21 Team Alberta volleyball tryout, and I blew my knee out in the warm-ups. So that was pretty disappointing. Obviously, like, working so hard to make it back to that point, and then it's like I don't even get to show what I can do. I get injured during the warm-ups. But
how was that?
Yeah, so after that, like, what's that?
How was that mentally? When, like, personally, I never dealt with any debilitating injury like that. So when you work so hard to get to a place that you want to be, after an injury, then you get re-injured, it's got to take a toll on your, mental part of your game.
Like, I admit that it made me pretty depressed, like, just having to deal with injury after injury, work so hard, and then it's like, you're finally, like, almost at the top of the stairs, it feels like, and then you fall back down to the bottom, but it's not even to the bottom. It just seems like, okay, now there's another set of stairs that's even lower than that, and you go tumbling down that set too, and having to work back not just from square one, but like right from the basics. It was really hard. Part of it was like you hear from your own doctors, nurses, other family and friends, other people that have dealt with the same, kind of injury, and it's like 90% or more are telling you that you're never going to be the same. You're not going to play competitively again. Like, I had some doctors tell me that I likely wouldn't play sports at all. Like, it's one of those things where it's either going to make you or break you. And for a while, I let the negative talk get to me. Like, I did work, like, really hard. Like I said, like, after that tryout, and I blew my knee, I blamed the sport of volleyball. Like, I was just really angry. So I stopped playing volleyball almost completely and just totally focused on basketball, because it was a sport that I started playing when I was 18 years old. So everything was new and fresh to me. It wasn't something that, like, a reminder of, kind of what happened and why I'm not where I feel like I should be right now. But yeah, mentally, it was just, you got to kind of, if you feel like there's any sliver of a chance or whatever it is, you have to have 100% belief in yourself. You have to really, block out all the negative. Like, I started reading a lot of books from other athletes or just like reading some articles and then like looking them up and hearing what they had to say about what they overcame, how they adapted and learned to kind of work around the injury. Like, one really big example for me was Grant Hill. I don't know if you know about Grant Hill's story, but in the early 2000s, he was looking like he was going to be the next, like, big star of the NBA. Had a couple really bad injuries to his foot, I believe it was, and like for like 3 or 4 years, he played less than like a full season's worth of games. But he ended up making it back. He like focused a lot more on his recovery, like taking care of his body, his nutrition, all that stuff. So that was what I started to do for my kind of,
recovery, rehab,
building up that mental fortitude to want to continue to do all my physio exercises when it just seemed like it kept, not being worth it in the end, even though like I would get a little bit further every time and then get knocked down, a little bit further every time, get knocked back down. So that's definitely really probably the hardest part about all of it, was just continuing to have that belief in myself that if I really put my mind to it, like it's a lot better to, go for it all and not make it than to not even try. And then you have that regret, like, well, what if I would have done this? You know what I mean?
What do you think the difference is between you and the path you took to, keep working to get back to where you want to be, and someone that would just give up and said, oh, well, I'm not going to be the same. I'm not going to get back to a competitive level, so I'm not going to do anything?
I guess like for the biggest difference would be like those people obviously let the negative talk, I guess, around them affect their own perception. I never, like I said, like I got depressed for a while. Sometimes it was hard for me to even want to do my physio. Like I would just get so frustrated that my left leg was so weak. Like until just about 2 or 3 years ago, I would never do squats or deadlifts or any kind of like heavy leg work in the gym, just because I was embarrassed. Like really, like honestly, I was embarrassed that I'm barely able to lift weight that like for how high I jump, I should have been able to throw that around like it was nothing. And now I do, but because of the patience I had to just continually trust the process and work and develop my leg, like right down to changing my mechanics for my jump, like how I land, how I approach, what I'm doing when I take off, using my arms and my upper body a lot more for generating momentum to go up rather than focusing so much on, explosive power from my legs. Like there were so many different things I did because I was like, what can I do? There's got to be something more I can do. This isn't working. Okay, I'm going to try this now. I'm going to try. Like one of the biggest things I did, I guess, was with all of my physio, I would do 2 or 3 times the amount that they suggested that I do for my workouts because I just felt like I needed to do more. The first time they ever let me bike, they told me to bike for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And it was the first time I got to bike in like over a year. So I biked and shut off. Like I literally biked for 60 minutes and, the thing says great workout at the end. I had never seen that before, but that's because I had never tried to bike that long. So I started doing things that I never would have thought to do before.
You weren't worried about getting injured again by doing more than what was recommended?
Well, yeah, I was definitely worried about that, but I just kind of thought to myself, well, I'm getting injured anyway, regardless of, whether I do a little more work or if I stick to the plan that they gave me. But like, especially after the second surgery, that was in 2012. And it was really weird. Like when I had that second surgery, I had just finished playing in a volleyball tournament and I did really well. It was the first time I played volleyball in like a couple years. Like I said, after quitting when I blew my knee again during that Team Alberta tryout. But it was the first time I had played volleyball in a couple years. I did really well in a tournament, felt no pain, no tweaks to my knee or anything. I was wearing a pretty good brace at the time too. So that probably helped. But after the Team Alberta tryout, it took about a month, I guess, and it started to feel okay again. Like it was always a little bit unstable, but I didn't think anything of it. So it wasn't until the next year that I was going to go play some basketball in a tournament, hurt my knee, got sent for an MRI. MRI took forever and the results and all that kind of thing. So I just kept playing because I didn't, think it was too bad if I was able to play. Like it can't be too bad. But during the appointment with the surgeon, he tells me I have no ACL left in my knee again. And this was in 2012. And he said it was as if like I wasn't born with one. There was absolutely nothing left. The first time there was at least like, a little bit of kind of material or shreds or whatever it was in my knee that they had to clean up. So the second time they completely, rebuilt that ACL. And it was after that when I really started to like, okay, this is probably like my last chance at being a competitive athlete. If I don't take this absolutely 100% serious, it's probably never going to happen now. So I had to, like I said, like I doubled up on all my physio exercises. I didn't play sports as much because I was focused on just getting my leg strength to the point where I figured I needed to be able to, squat at least double my weight just to be able to handle the stress of, you've seen me jump. I can jump about 3 feet in the air. So jumping up 3 feet and then coming down on one leg, isn't always the best form, but sometimes in volleyball you just have to. And I figured if I wasn't able to squat almost double my weight, then I was never going to be able to perform the way I wanted to. So it's really like I spent 2 years of just being really patient, building up like from like my starting squat was like 100 pounds and I could do maybe 5 to 6 reps. And it was because my knee like would shake so bad. I just had so much atrophy in that left leg. So yeah, like it was always a struggle, but it wasn't something that I felt was impossible, I guess, even though like I was kind of told otherwise by most people.
So tell me about, you were supposed to go for a second surgery, is that right? And then they just said there's nothing to repair. Is that right?
Well, yeah, no, I had the second surgery. So that, like I had the first surgery was in 2010. The second surgery was in 2012. And like I said, I had been focused on basketball for the past couple of years rather than volleyball. So I just basically did the same thing. Like the timeline for my recovery after the second surgery, I wasn't even supposed to be walking without crutches until I think 2 or 3 months after. And I was already like I probably shouldn't have been, obviously, but it's just the impatience and wanting to get on the court so bad. But I was already like going up off, 1 foot and dunking volleyballs again and things like that. I wasn't actually playing sports, but I would just continuously test and then reevaluate myself in addition to what the physiotherapists were giving me. But yeah, so I focused exclusively on basketball after that second surgery. Like I would get up in the morning before work. I'd go shoot around. Like I would work at 7, so I'd go shoot around at about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Get off work, go and eat, shower, whatever I need to do. Go to the court, put in some more work, and then by that time, like after an hour or two, some of my friends would start to show up, so I'd stay and play with them. Everybody else would leave at about 11 or 12 midnight, and then I would work for another hour or two just working on all the shots I missed, different moves that I felt like I should have been able to make, and it just turned into like every single day I was spending 4 to 6 hours just working on basketball, because it was, other than, working out in the gym, I just felt like I needed that like recordable progress, I guess. Like it was easy for me to visualize and physically see for myself the progress when I was working on basketball at the same time, like just getting quicker to the rim, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I did that for a few months. I found out about an ID camp for Olds College Broncos basketball team. So I, doubled down and put in even more work, went to the camp. I did actually really well, like a lot better than I thought I was going to, because I was just like, okay, well, I'm here. I worked for this, for so long. There's not really anything other than just give everything I have and be happy with the result, whether I made it or not. But I made it past the first day, so I was really happy about that. But part of it was I didn't have the ball handling skills and the shooting skills to be a guard. So like I was getting exposed pretty bad in the guard camp. So one of the guys from the team, like the year before, he pulled me over and he's like, "Hey man, why don't you just come and like work with the posts?" And he's like, you're kind of a small guy, but like you're obviously athletic, and you're big enough and you're strong enough to be able to try and box out and play physical down low. So I went and did that the second day, and at the very end they called me back and they said, like, you made the team, but we'd like you to be on our junior varsity team so you can have a year to develop, and that way you're actually playing a position your height is kind of suited for. But during off-season training, I blew my knee, and it was at that point where they said, like, you're done, or not done, I guess, but they said, like, we can't fix your knee anymore. Like, you've already had 2 surgeries. We took a tendon from your hamstring the first time, your patella tendon. Like, there's nothing we can do to fix your knee anymore. So rather than be depressed about it like I had been like all the other times and start to beat myself up or whatever, I just said, okay, well, maybe it's not meant for me. And I started getting into coaching more. I did stop playing sports though, like almost completely for a year. Like all I did was just work out. I just wanted to keep getting stronger. Like, cause it didn't take very long, like maybe 2-3 weeks after I blew my knee in 2013. Like I had to withdraw from school. I didn't figure I'd do well in school if I wasn't playing sports. So I just stayed home, went to a community college, got some courses, started coaching like the high school team, just trying to keep myself involved with the sport. And my knee just started to feel better and better. I don't know what it was, like if it was the different workouts that I was doing, because I really just isolated my left leg constantly, doing a lot more like plyometrics and different kind of conditioning drills that I never had done before, a lot of different stretching, like, and that was when I really focused on my nutrition too, like just understanding that the better shape I keep myself in, the lower risk of me having another injury, and then at least I could play like rec sports or whatever. I actually never thought I would make it back to college after that. So it's pretty surreal to kind of be sitting here doing an interview in my second year being captain of the college volleyball team, when I really just started playing volleyball again like about 2.5 years ago. Like, and it was like my brother noticed that I was doing a lot better in the gym, and he just needed a guy, decided to ask me to play for his team. I did pretty well, and then I just kept playing with them for like the next year. and I decided to send a video to the Olds College coaches, and they offered me a scholarship, and now basically here I am.
That's awesome. So tell me about your mindset now through being able to deal with adversity. Is that the word? Adversary?
Adversity.
Adversity. Thank you. Being able to, get through difficult times. And now you're playing at a high level again. You're a captain of the team. And tell me about what that's like and your confidence level now. And maybe if you have doubts about anything in the back of your mind about, anything that may not be positive.
Well, my mindset now is definitely, like, I would say my mental fortitude is a lot stronger now than it was then. And I think that just comes with the territory of, overcoming challenges and obstacles. And specifically in my case, like things that, you read about, you still read about today, even like with the advances in technology, like in the 80s, 90s, guys with my injuries, most likely never played again. And nowadays, like the medicine and technology is a lot better to take care of these injuries. For me now, it's really just, it's not even about like wanting to prove people wrong or anything like that. It's just about the love of competition.
So just to wrap things up here, if you had any words of advice for anyone listening that might be going through an injury right now, what would you tell them?
Definitely rest. Listen to your doctors when they tell you to stay off of it. Like that was probably the biggest thing I had to learn was just being impatient. And it's like, oh, well, I'm within, 2 weeks of my next stage of my physio. So I think I can, go and, just start it on my own without telling my physiotherapist, like, no, that's not a good idea. And I don't know if even like the doubling and tripling workouts thing is a great idea either. Like it just happened to work for me. But the biggest thing I would say is just believe in yourself and whatever it takes to motivate you. Like for me, it was my kids having a girlfriend that, never doubted me ever. Like that was something that, rather than focusing on all the negative and people telling me I can't do this or that, I focused on my girlfriend, Tori, telling me like, she still thinks I can be a professional athlete. And sometimes I laugh at her, but maybe I shouldn't because, I'm sure people probably laughed at me when I told them I was going to be a college athlete again. So you never know what can happen if you put in the work and you really like just strive for that, not even making it back. Like that wasn't even the goal for me. The goal for me was to be better than I had ever been before. And I think I've done that. So like if it's possible for me, I think it's possible for just about anybody.
Fantastic. All right, Waylon, we're going to wrap things up here. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for sharing your story with us. It's incredibly inspiring, and I'm sure many of our listeners found some inspiration from your words as well. So thanks for sharing that with us. Thanks for being here, and we wish you all the best with your season here and then whatever you choose moving forward.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks again for having me, and I love the show. I'll continue following and, listening into the other interviews. And yeah, like I really feel like what you're doing is a pretty positive thing. So I just want to say, keep it up as well.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show. Thank you for your downloads, your shares, everything that you do to contribute to the show. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. If you're looking for a little help to get boosted in the right direction, maybe you need some professional advice yourself with a proper program, head over to trueformlife.com. We have a free 10-day fitness challenge. We send you a brand new workout each day. Workouts take 20 minutes or less. Just like Waylon was saying, you don't always have to get an hour or longer in. Get in a short, efficient workout. There's no equipment required. We teach you how to use your body as the machine. We're going to send you tips along the way. And it's just a great way to boost yourself in the right direction. Maybe you want to start a program. Maybe you want to get in a little better shape for the holidays or whatever season it may be. Again, that's at trueformlife.com. And we got more details going up there. All these past shows can be found on exploringmindandbody.com. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Taddia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Taddia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Taddia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.